Welcome back to the official Atari Games podcast. This is Jason here, joined by two fine gentlemen from Digital Eclipse. We have returning guest Chris Kohler, Editorial Director at Digital Eclipse on the Namco Legendary Pack for Atari 50. Welcome back, Chris. How you doing?
Nice to be back. Thanks, Jason.
And
Excited to be here.
It's been a long time since we've seen each other. Like so long.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I haven't seen you in hours, minutes,
hours. About 48 hours. Yeah, we saw each other at
California Extreme.
California Extreme. You were selling your wares. Don't know. Can people buy those online? Like, do you have a place where you buy? Okay.
No, I collect games, so I always end up with way more than I really need, and so I will occasionally just sell them at like California Extreme or something like that.
Okay, so that becomes more of like a house cleaning, like
exactly. It's just stuff out of my collection. Yeah,
cold the herd a bit. All right, well, fair enough.
Yes.
So if you're ever looking for retro games and you're in the Bay Area, Santa Clara, San Jose area next year, go check out Chris and buy some stuff. And that's the podcast. Thanks, guys. Thanks for also joining us is the coolest name in the business, Dant Rambo, producer on the Namco Legendary Pack DLC. Dant, welcome back. Welcome to the podcast. First time.
Good to be here. Yeah. First time joining. Yeah. I was going to ask, have you done an episode in the past talking to some people kind of within Atari that are collectors? I would love to listen to that. Is the reason I ask. I think that would be.
That's a good idea. Let me go to my, believe it or not, despite this podcast not appearing like it, I do actually plan ahead for what is going to be recorded and do a very loose run of show. And look, there's a few up here where some people might dodge me. All right. But there's actually two of them I'm going to put on this list because, we were at California Extreme because of Alan 1 showing off the Missile Command recharged arcade cabinet, which is awesome. And they haven't been on in a while. I had them on when Asteroids Recharged was in its early stages in the arcade cabinet. And now that Missile Command Recharged is done, which is actually, there's one of them in your office now. So thanks to Chris as well for opening the door. Appreciate it, Chris.
Yes.
And so I want to have those guys on. And collector's episode. I like it. Now I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've been trying to get Al of Atari Age on here.
Oh yeah.
Just to talk about himself and Atari Age. And he, I don't know. He just doesn't, he doesn't like me.
I mean,
suppose.
the OG,
I'm just kidding. I don't think that's
the OG Atari collectors are the guys who run the National Video Game Museum now down in Frisco. Joe Santulli and Sean Kelly and John Hardy. I mean, they started the Digital Press fanzine. Like they were literally collecting Atari games, in the early 1990s when some of that stuff was still on shelves, and they started doing that first work of just building the lists of like what exists. What was released versus not released, because there wasn't a lot of that information. And so that was really the origins of video game collecting. And you still have people, Atari collecting went through it kind of went through that like peak of popularity in like the early to mid 2000s, when you had a lot of people who had grown up on Atari were going out and trying to build collections of 2600 games, things like that. If you went to Classic Gaming Expo in Vegas, which at the time was practically the only, classic video gaming expo. Now there's, hundreds of them all over the world. But for a time you went to Vegas, and the people that were buying and selling and collecting there, they didn't consider the NES a classic gaming system. At that point, that was a modern gaming system. Like the NES, it's not classic. Right. And vendors started selling NES stuff, and there was this feeling of like, what is this stuff even doing here? So the Atari collecting, now that crazy peak of popularity kind of went down, but there's still Atari collectors, and when something does come up, they tend to pay a great deal of money for something that they need because there's so few things that they still need. But if something does come up now that's sort of like, it's so rare, that you get people fighting over it. So it's still this niche kind of area of collecting. And I've seen it kind of coming back a little bit. Like, I mean, I feel like, we probably have had no small part in that, because of course we're putting out the the Atari 2600, the Plus platform, not only raising a more awareness of Atari, but actually producing HDMI output hardware that will allow people to actually play those old games again.
Right.
So now, because really prior to that, if you think about it, you had to, and I sold somebody an Atari 2600, and we had to have a conversation about, like, you have to plug this into an RF jack on the back of a television, which your TV may not have anymore. And so
Let's
now
be
those
real.
things
Let's be real. Anybody who's
useful
buying an
again.
Atari, anybody who's buying a 2600 from you at California Extreme absolutely has a CRT old school. They not only do they have a CRT, they only have CRTs. They don't do this newfangled flat screen
Well,
OLED
honestly,
shenanigans.
this person did not, and we had to have a conversation about that. So
Let me
but at any rate,
stereotype, Chris. Come on.
I think, yeah, I know. But I will tell you, I think it's if you were to get some hardcore Atari 2600, collectors, to talk about that scene, what that's all about, and what the rarities are, and all that kind of stuff, I think that would be fascinating. You should do that.
All right, so we got collectors episode in the list. Include Chris Kohler as guest host.
Okay. I will. I know. You know what? Honestly, like I don't know enough about that scene, but I know what questions to ask people to get the good responses.
I'm not kidding. Now we just got to find who else to add. Dant, you were going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, it's easy. Like, I take it for granted now, but I think you were kind of saying at the start, Chris, like, there was a time where there was not kind of like a full index of, releases or anything like that. There were just people kind of compiling that information, because it wasn't really, something that existed. So that is interesting. Like, it would be fascinating to hear from people, especially people collecting in that era, and kind of, sussing out, the full releases for 2600 or any other kind of platform from that time.
There were a lot of arguments among collectors about whether or not something even came out. And then you have things that actually didn't come out. Well, it was very regional. Actually, there's something, tying in to what we're going to talk about. Once we get to that point, I'll talk about this.
We'll get there eventually. This is why I love it. Yeah, this is good.
There's something
this is a
interesting.
Podcast. Let me tell you something. This right here, this is the difference between this podcast and the Deep Dive podcast. You would never get this kind of 5-minute tangent about collecting on the Deep Dive podcast.
Well, I'm gonna bring it back.
Don't care.
Because once we get into, I care. I want people to know that their time's not being wasted.
Well, I'll bring it back eventually. They're entertaining.
The Namco Legendary Pack. This does factor in. It does factor in.
Great. Very excited. And we'll get to that. But first, let me ask my dad joke that I have to ask Dant, because I'm sure everybody does. Dant, how often do people stop you and say, "Oh my God, Dant Rambo," like from the movie Dant?
So, I've actually, that is a new one. Believe it or not, that is a new one. I've never gotten that.
So that was it. That's the joke. All right.
I love it.
I think I got Chris. Chris was not expecting that.
I was good. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's when you're on Jungle Cruise at Disney. One of the jokes is they're like, we're now passing past Schweitzer Falls, named after the famous philanthropist Albert Falls.
Yes. Yeah.
Solid dad joke. Very good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
I got my family. I got my whole entire family. We were out in Connecticut in the street, the town where I grew up, and we were going down my street, and my parents' house is still surrounded by dairy farms, and we go by, and I just been waiting for this moment for years, and I said, "Hey kids, there's a whole flock of cows right there," and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "A flock of cows." And they're like, "Herd of cows." And I said, "Yeah, I've heard of cows. I just told you. There's a whole flock of them right there."
There you go. Love it.
Add another. Finally came.
Finally got it. It was lying in wait for the perfect moment, and there it was.
Perfect. Excellent. Well done. All right. Housekeeping. Subscribe, review the podcast, please review it. Say nice things. You're out there. I've seen numbers kind of growing, which is kind of cool. Okay. So thank you for listening. And if you like what you hear, review us. If you don't like what you hear, review us with 5 stars, and then say how you really feel. Join the Atari Club Discord. That link is below in the description. Digital Eclipse is busy. Would you say that's accurate? You guys busy or you kind of
Yes.
just chilling?
We don't have time to do this podcast.
No,
Let's
you
be
don't.
real.
Yeah. But they're busy. And if you want proof, because we just announced the Atari 50 Namco Legendary Pack DLC, you can wishlist that now. And that is hot on the heels of the Golden Sea Arcade Classics, which was just released. And you could buy that on basically everything. And those links are all going to be below as well. You guys did some awesome work. If you want to know more about that, did an episode of that a few episodes back. Couldn't tell you which number it was. Not off the top of my head. But check that out. We had a good discussion about it. Those games are awesome. Digital Eclipse did what they do best, which is great work. And we're going to see that again here in the Namco Legendary Pack DLC. I'm not going to keep saying that over and over and over again. But I do want to get to...
it's good publicity. By all means.
I
do really quick. Sorry, one more very quick derail. I want to share the best joke that someone made online about Golden Tee Arcade Classics, which is it should ship with a breathalyzer, and you can only play it if you're drunk.
Yeah. Release an accessory that's a smoke machine, but it's actually cigarette smells.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, just a nice scented candle or something to really capture the vibe, right?
Yeah, I'm into it. I dig it. All right, cool. Well, with that, let's check it out. Let's see what you gentlemen have done here while I rapidly get in sync with some timestamps. And here we go. All right, this looks pretty familiar. Atari 50. Chris, kick us off. How did we get here?
Well, exactly. Let's go back to, Atari 50, the anniversary celebration. This was released in 2022, the 50th anniversary year of Atari. It is the first product from Digital Eclipse that we went out, and called an interactive documentary. And what you notice if you're not familiar with Atari 50 is, when you press start on the title screen of Atari 50, it does not jump you into, hey, here's a list of games to play. What it actually jumps you into is this screen right here, where you are now in what we call the timelines of essentially a virtual museum of Atari history. It does not start with Pong. It doesn't even start with computer space. It starts with the founding of Atari, and you move through the history. You go through this whole thing, and then when a playable game comes up in the timelines, you can jump in. Here's Breakout. You can play some Breakout. You can get a sense of what this was like. And then at any time, you can just sort of jump back out and be right back where you were on the timelines again. So the games become not just a collection of old games where we say, go play with these and try to figure out how to have fun. They become just like all of the other historical documents and video interviews and artifacts and things like that. It's almost like walking through a museum where you can play the exhibits, which is a thing that exists also. So we're just sort of trying to do that digitally. Since the release of Atari 50, it's really, truly, I think, Atari 50 is becoming like a platform rather than a single game release, because we've already released, you're in the first DLC pack right now, which is called The Wider World of Atari. This was our opportunity to tell a lot of stories that, were not things that we couldn't get to in the original Atari release. Yes, we added more playable games, but of course we're trying our best to tell the stories about those games as well. Here's our studio head and now chief creative officer of Atari, Mike Micah, talking about his own work on what was a fan project, or the voice enhanced version of Berserk for the Atari 2600. So we get into discussions of games that fans and homebrewers were making, because Atari wasn't just the first party Atari releases for the 2600. It was so much. It was a culture. It was fans. It was third parties. It was so much around that. And then the second DLC was called The First Console War. Atari, as we know, maybe you don't know, but Atari recently acquired the game library and the rights to the Intellivision catalog, finally bringing an end to the first ever console war. That war is now resolved finally, and Atari is the winner, having now subsumed Intellivision.
Yeah, take
Manifest
that.
Destiny. Yes.
That's right.
And now you're playing Frogs and Flies, which is the Atari version of the game Frog Bog that you might have played on the Intellivision. This was a particular favorite. My wife and her sister had an Intellivision growing up, and actually the last time I think that her sister was at my house, we set up an Intellivision and they would just play in pitched Frog Bog battles. The Frog Bog and Frogs and Flies, this Atari version, definitely has a fan base. You have to jump and you have to catch the flies in the air. It's a fun little game.
We own this now? Atari owns Frogs and Flies?
Yeah.
All right. This is good to know.
It's good to know, right? Great game.
Time to, exactly.
And of course, and it's not just games. For the wider world of Atari, we talked to Evelyn Cito, who was the woman who, as a young graphic designer, actually did the inking on the original Atari Fuji logo. And so she told us her story. And then we also talked to Jane Terjung in the first console war, who was a programmer and game creator. There she is there for Mattel, and who actually developed an Atari 2600 game that was never released and had never seen. And she had the only copy of it on a little prototype board. And she brought it to the office that day. And working in tandem with the Video Game History Foundation, we were able to get it running for the first time in 40 years. And we were able to include it in this DLC. And so we're constantly looking for opportunities like that, not just to find things that have never been seen before, but also to talk to people, especially people like Evelyn and Jane, who maybe nobody's ever talked to them before, in any kind of way about video game history, or certainly never, included them in a game release or shown them on video. There are just so many stories. And so now we are about to release the Namco Legendary Pack, which includes games from the legendary Japanese game developer Namco, that the versions that were published in the United States for Atari platforms. And Atari actually published the arcade versions of the games Dig Dug and Xevious. And so the Atari arcade versions of those are now being included for the first time, as well as versions that appeared on Atari home console. There you go. So there's the Atari released US version of Xevious, which is essentially identical to the Japanese version with some Atari logos on there. Xevious, I mean, this game was very, very influential in the development of Japanese video games and in video games as a storytelling medium. And you don't necessarily see that from at first glance, looking back on it now. But there was a lot of thought put into the world building, like trying to make this feel like a cohesive world. The naming and the backstories of the ships and the war that was going on and all that kind of stuff. Because Space Invaders was just, like, there's aliens, shoot them. This was really about like this war between these two factions and sort of trying to really create a real world setting that they were fighting in. And so we talk a little bit about that, and we try to like make that clear when you're playing this, like just how impactful this game was. So it's really exciting. It's so exciting to be able to have, this version of this game, because this has been re-released before, but it's always the Japanese Namco version. So now that we're partnered with Bandai Namco to do this, we get to show, a little that little extra nostalgic hit that American gamers will remember, seeing that Atari logo on the arcade version. I
remember Xevious. I think I remember Xevious because of. Do you remember on Game Boy Advance? I think it was when Nintendo had the card readers and they were distributing.
Yeah.
Like
I still have
one. Yes.
Yeah.
I think Xevious was one of those games, right? I believe so.
I don't think so. I
No?
don't think
Okay,
it
well then
was.
maybe not. I don't know. Maybe just wires crossed there.
Xevious was one of the games that Nintendo released on they released the Famicom or the NES version of it on a cartridge for the Game Boy Advance.
Okay, then
So
maybe
I think
that's where my
maybe what
wires
you're
are crossing.
remembering.
Yeah. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool, and it's interesting to hear that because you made the direct comparison yourself between Xevious and Space Invaders. Like you talk to anybody, and I kind of wanted to bring this point up early on, and I think what's so cool about finally bringing a lot of these games to Atari 50 is that whenever I tell people I work for Atari and they're like, oh, I love Atari, it's like Pac-Man.
Yep. Right. Yes.
No.
And of course we got that during, when Atari 50 came out, and it's understandable because people are like, it's like, you say like, oh, it's like, it's just this great collection of great games for the Atari 2600. And they're like, oh, so it's got Pac-Man? And it's like, no, no, it doesn't. And Pac-Man was number one with a bullet, the biggest selling game for the Atari 2600. And it sold, I believe it sold like 13 million copies or more. And then you got to figure how many more people played it, And so, yes, the fact that we're able to bring that back. And I think there's also this, what we want to do if we want to, even if we want to show 2600 Pac-Man, if we want to jump over there.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to jump around. I'm just, I'm
feeling
feeling myself right now. And I did want to ask
you're having a good
before we get off of this. Yeah. I did want to ask why do you think this doesn't get the same let's say reverence that a game like Space Invaders or even Galaga does?
That's a good question.
Nobody ever really brings up Xevious unless you're let's be honest,
and this is like the father also of the also you're flying over those Nazca lines, the sort of bird design that's in the ground, which you see snippets of it as you fly through these levels, because these levels are like vertical slices of one big map. That's another thing that just sort of adds to the mystique and the mystery of Xevious. I don't know. Certainly in Japan, it is absolutely top of mind when people talk about video game history. Because of not only the fact that it really kicked off the vertically scrolling shooter genre in the first place, but the idea of games as stories. I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question as to why maybe it's like sort of held in reverence there, but here it's sort of considered one of many games. But I don't know. So either way, we want to make sure that it's positioned the correct way, that it kind of gets its due. And now you're playing what came out later, the 7800 version of Xevious.
Yeah, I also love when as someone who's the game through the 90s and early and aughts, and that's where my personal gaming timeline starts. I remember playing Ikaruga for the first time, right, and playing those games, and so you could the line is so easy to draw. I mean, not even accounting for things like R-Type or the other ones that came well before it, but Ikaruga was the one. That was the one for me when it came to these kind of shooters.
Yeah, and I will say this: if you look at the history of it, and in fact, we get into this a little bit in the, in the Namco Legendary Pack, in the timeline, which is called the Namco Connection. Xevious, the U.S. sort of console version of Xevious didn't come out on the Atari 7800 until 1986. When it was already sort of like maybe an older game or a classic game at that point, whereas the Famicom version, Japanese kids were playing Xevious at home, I believe in 1984, if not 1983. So pretty early on, they had their home version of that game, which of course then we did not get for the NES until years later. So I think that there may have been like a pretty robust sort of like home Xevious culture happening in a way that maybe we didn't have in the US, just because of the way that the console market kind of worked out at that time.
Yeah. So are you surprised that I immediately went to Xevious instead like of all of the games?
No, it's cool. I mean, that's what we're talking about, but we gotta get off of that now.
Yeah, we'll get off of that. Let's go to Galaxian. Let's go very different.
So now you're on
Dan, were you going to say something? Sorry.
Oh yeah, please.
Nope. No. I'm just taking it all in.
So I got to talk about the 2600 version of Galaxian, because this game was considered to be impossible. This is what we really try to do here, because if you just take these games and you put them in a collection, you don't understand how people felt about these games at the time. So when this game, or really when this even came out, so Galaxian in the arcades was released, I believe, at the tail end of the 1970s. This 2600 version was released in 1983. So long after the 2600 had come out, and really quite a long time after the original arcade game had come out. And doing Galaxian on the 2600 was considered to be impossible. And so we spoke to the guy who did the impossible. There's an interview. His name is Mark Ackerman. He worked for the developer that created this game. And he said, well, basically, Atari gave us this project because they thought it wasn't possible to do it. And he came up with a system that would let him display all of these sprites on the screen, because this is far more sprites than you see in even Atari Space Invaders. And Atari and like Space Invaders is using tricks to display that many movable objects on the screen. But look at all the stuff that he's doing. Basically, the system that he came up with to do this was so unique that he actually got a patent on the system that allows him to display all of these moving sprites on the Atari 2600 screen. And when you actually the other funny thing is when you jump into this, the box says Galaxian Arcade Classic. And I thought to myself, we're putting this together, I can't think of an earlier game that was released that essentially bills itself as a classic game, because it was so many years out from the Japanese from the original arcade release of this game that they actually had to bill it as, hey, remember this classic? Which I thought was very funny. This is a wonderful version of Galaxian. It's so good.
This is awesome. I never played this before. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it feels good. It has beautiful sound effects. You know, it sounds so much nicer than most 2600 games. Fast action. The aliens kind of diving at you. It's this very complex game. It's almost like the sort of stuff you see like homebrew fan, developers doing today with their, knowledge of all of the possible tricks you can pull with the 2600. But this was 83. And it's really, really a beautiful game.
Yeah, this is awesome. All right.
You're good at it too.
Oh, thank you. First time playing it. Dant, where should I go next?
Oh, boy. Exactly. Well,
I knew it. If I have to be a prodigy of anything, it has to be the Galaxian VCS edition. Good God.
Well, I'm going to say Dig Dug, of course, just because big Dig Dug fan. I've also recently become more aware of and interested in kind of the Namco extended or connected universe, just in terms of, Dig Dug's connection to Mr. Driller. And
right.
I have not played Shadow Labyrinth yet, but I'm kind of curious if that gets into that at all. But yeah,
so hyped for that. Yes.
Yeah, I really want to play it.
It's weird, but yeah, I'm with you there.
I just love Dig Dug anyway, but yeah, just kind of learning more about the fact that there is.
He's the grandfather of Mr. Driller, right?
That's right. Yeah, I knew there was a relation. Yeah, I couldn't remember, but I think he's the grandfather if I remember right.
Man, I can't remember last time I played Dig Dug. Good stuff though. Yeah, it's classic.
Very good. And again, super good to have the arcade. Oh, he's getting away.
Oh,
that's a shame. Have the Atari arcade version, again, in here is great. This was also, again, a highly influential, very, very popular game, around the world for its use of cartoon characters. And really, like Atari, and you can kind of tell when you look at, because we always try to include original arcade flyers, things like that. Atari really tried to position this as like the second coming of Pac-Man. They were like, oh, like, because it's by Namco. It's another maze game in which, you have these cute, colorful characters, and they kind of position it as, oh, it's the maze game where you make your own maze because you're, sort of digging and creating the maze as you're doing it. Wonderful
Some would say this is the spiritual successor to Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yes.
Some would say that.
Yes.
Some would. I don't know who they are, but perhaps some
looked 40 years in the future, saw Donkey Kong Bonanza, and were like, how can we do that, but with our technology?
Yeah.
Yes.
The retroactive successor.
Yep. All right, get him.
Got him. Yeah, man. I'm like crushing
A
these games.
mild aside, but a game I've had for a long time, I still haven't played, is the DS version of Dig Dug. I think it was like Digging Strike. Back when DS,
Oh yeah,
all the names had the kind of like DS moniker.
DS, yeah, Digging Strike.
That I think has Mr. Driller in it as well. But
Sure, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah.
I love how just horribly distressed the enemies look when you inflict them. Also, like they really look like they're in intense pain.
I mean,
it's like
before they pop.
It's kind of incredibly graphic if you think about it. Like what is actually happening here? It is.
They are
disturbing.
going through some things.
Yeah,
bad way. Yes.
Yeah, they're going through the ending of Live and Let Die.
Yep. And
How's
so
that?
Dig Dug,
fans?
This was a situation where Atari, I think, really looking at the success of Pac-Man and having a great relationship with Namco, which we'll get to because for some reason we're going through the timeline backwards, but that's fine.
Keeping you on your toes.
They really went big with Dig Dug, and Atari developed versions of Dig Dug for the Atari 800 computer, for the Atari 5200, which was actually, usually the 800, 5200 versions are like the same, but the initial two versions were actually different. And then later on, you get the 7800 version, and then you also have, very much like Galaxian, which was developed by GCC, you have Dig Dug for the VCS, which you just passed, which was also developed by GCC, and which was also a very good.
One.
It's got a title screen. Look at this title screen on this game.
Yeah.
What 2600 games have title screens? Title screen, little demo mode.
This is awesome.
This is really pushing the Atari 2600 and what it is able to do and what it should be able to do. The fact that they essentially got all the major gameplay in here, the graphics look good. Yeah, I mean, GCC, this company was just like at the top of their game as far as developing Atari 2600 games.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's kind of an interesting thought I just had. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's unhinged. But in any of these discussions or looking at it, did any of these companies ever think about making a console of their own? Like Namco having the IP that they have, like that really, like when you look at Atari, yeah, they're known for the hardware, but they didn't actually have the best-selling games. The best-selling game on the 2600 was Yar's Revenge. So considering that it basically became a grounds for games like Namco and I'd say like places like Konami to really thrive.
Well, Atari invented the concept of maybe not invented, but Atari was a real leader in the concept of, hey, instead of just making a clone of someone else's arcade game, we should actually license the name and the game and then make the official version. Like I think Space Invaders was maybe the first time that it happened because, everybody was just, somebody created an arcade game, you just made your own knockoff of it. But Atari was like, let's get the official license on here. And so that is something that they really dove into. They had huge success with Pac-Man in terms of doing that. So yeah, you do see that, yes, Atari's biggest selling original game was Yar's, but then there's so many other games that, as we've kind of said, were licensed.
Right.
And that does cause a problem for those of us trying to do collections or interactive documentaries or what have you later on. But what's great is, I mean, now you can see, like, we have, been able to work with Bandai, the modern Bandai Namco, to pull this off, and it's really exciting.
Yes, I do remember an unlicensed Pac-Man game called Dot Gobbler, which I thought was funny.
Dot Gobbler, Muncher,
that's a name. Oh, yeah. That's a name.
Yep.
Actually, Muncher just reminded me. I had a dream about Number Muncher last night for some reason. Forgot about that until just now, so there you go. There's an exclusive for your podcast, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't told anyone about
that. So. Wow. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
This is great. Write that up. Tell the presses. IGN, got a scoop. All right, where to? I guess, should we go to Pac-Man? Should we do the thing?
Can we go back to the beginning? Because I do want to cover this. No, the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So the timeline itself, we're calling it the Namco connection. And the reason why is because, little known fact, Namco, which of course is this, very well-known, Japanese game publisher, now of course Bandai Namco, started by purchasing Atari's Japanese subsidiary, Atari Japan. Namco got started by distributing Atari's games in Japan, and then Namco's first actual internal video game division was just Atari Japan, which they purchased from Atari. And so Atari was actually sort of the origins of Namco getting into this. So we talk about the actual origins of the company, Nakamura Manufacturing Company, which was Masaya Nakamura here, running mechanical horse rides on the rooftop of department stores in Japan.
Yes.
And we even have, some imagery of that in the original Namco logo, which is a running horse. And very quickly, they got into other sorts of amusement machines and things like that, and did electromechanical amusement machines and coin operated amusements. But as far as video games go, it was the partnership with Atari. Breakout. And we have actually, so thanks to big ups to our CEO, Wade Rosen, who remembered while we were putting this together that he had actually spoken briefly with Nolan Bushnell a few years ago, and they had spoken about that origin, the Atari Japan, and the origins of Namco, and gave us a heads up and said, "Hey, you should go looking for this conversation, buried in these hours of footage, because it's an interesting telling of the story by Nolan." So we've got a little bit of that in here as well. Namco actually had great success with Breakout, selling Breakout machines in Japan.
That's why.
And so we let you, of course, because we can allow you to do this. We have these old flyers, material. Here's the Japanese Breakout flyer that was distributed by Namco. And then, of course, if you want, you can just play Breakout. It's not any different. It's literally just the same. I mean, it's just jumping to the same version, that you played earlier. But it wouldn't have really looked any different in Japan. But, just in case you are looking at this and say, hey, I want to play some Breakout before I move on, like we allow you to do that as well.
It's great.
You don't got to go digging for it.
Yeah. That's also, it's interesting to see that version of the video that you have. I guess that was older footage that you had, I guess, that to contextualize another interview between, or another video between Wade and Nolan. And you could tell because Wade's hair is way longer now.
Oh, yes, it is.
I don't think he's had a haircut since that video.
No, I don't think so either. But yeah,
looking great, Wade.
We're building the archives here. You know what I mean? Like, we're making sure we save all of this footage and we know what's on it, because a lot of those conversations don't necessarily apply to what we're releasing. But as we start to work out these licensing deals, suddenly a 2, 3 or older interview becomes very relevant again. And so we're making sure that we have that continuity and we know what we have. So we see some other flyers, for Atari games that Namco put out. Then we start getting into the original. Once Namco starts doing original games, we start looking at some of that. Yeah, look at that great Super Breakout flyer. Ooh. And then, of course, we have to introduce Namco's, big breakout hit, Pac-Man. And then shortly after that, Atari signed the licensing agreement, to do all the home versions of that game. And then we get to Pac-Man for the VCS.
Should I start now? Do I start with the VCS or do I start with the 800 version?
I think you start with the VCS version.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, because this was the one. So again, the Atari 2600 or the Atari VCS version of Pac-Man has, ever since like the 90s or so, when people started talking about classic games, it's given this reputation as, oh, this is the worst game ever made. It's the worst. And it's just like, well, look, it was pretty difficult. We've already spoken about how difficult it is to do anything that the Atari 2600 wasn't explicitly designed to do, which was basically to play combat or Pong. And so you have situations where somebody has to come up with some, workarounds, essentially, even to get something running. And this is what developer Todd Fry was able to do. But the important thing is, as we really wanted to speak about, this game sold a lot of copies and people played it a lot. This is a major part of Atari 2600 culture. And a lot of the design choices, such as, why didn't it look like the arcade game, and why was this decision made or that decision made? That's really what we want to go into. And so we have there's interviews with Todd Fry, who was the Atari designer, who was given this task, told to recreate Pac-Man on the 2600. Understanding the design decisions that he made. What are some regrets? What would he have done differently had he had more time, more RAM, more ROM, more technological capability to do it. It's again, like, it's just a really important part of history, and to have that here and playable, I think is very important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal, I think, for any of these collections is, or anything that's contextualizing this stuff, especially, is not to say get the good stuff in there. It's like, no, you want to get you want to tell the truth, right? You want to show like what was there, because I think it's awesome to actually see like what and play what this game is. I've never played this version of Pac-Man before.
For me too, like the original Atari 50 release came out before I joined Digital Eclipse, and so I played it just as a fan, and like kind of seeing things contextualized in that way would make games that I otherwise maybe wouldn't enjoy as much more enjoyable. Like they become more enjoyable and interesting to play once they're kind of contextualized in that way, at least in my experience. So
that's the idea. It's like, well, the other thing is we're not setting you up. I mean, this is something that was a big part of the discussions around, the original game selection for Atari 50 as well. It's like, we're not telling you these games are necessarily going to be something that you're going to like really enjoy playing as you would enjoy playing a modern game. I actually do think 2600 Pac-Man is fun. It's a fun game.
Me too.
It's very easy to criticize because you can look at the arcade game and say, well, this is what's missing, this is what's wrong. But taken on its own, it's still a fun game to play.
It's a unique challenge.
But that's not the selection criteria. It's like, is this interesting? It's like, Club Drive for the Jaguar is one of the first like kind of free roaming 3D polygonal racing games, and it's really interesting to play it from that perspective. But we set you up in Atari 50 and we say, well, this is what this is. Try it out for yourself. Now you understand a little bit better about what it is, and sort of once you've gone through everything, you're seeing video game history unfold in front of your eyes, which is important as well. And it's like, if I hand you a controller and say, hey, this is a really weird game, check this out, you're gonna have a good time, because we all understand that it's weird.
Nice. Perfect one.
You're really good at this too. Wow. Whoa. Jason is a kind of a savant here.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer. There you go. I found my niche. All right. So then should go to the 8-bit one next.
Sure. So this came out at roughly the same time. And of course, with the added capability of the Atari 8-bit computer, now you do have something that is, quite a bit more similar to what we got. Yeah. And there are differences between it. If you look at this game and you look at the Atari 5200 console version, you might look at that and say, oh, these are the same game. But in fact, there are pretty substantial differences. In this computer version, these ghosts move really slowly. I think the computer version is actually I think it's significantly easier because the ghosts don't move nearly as quickly. And I believe the initial computer version was also missing the little intermission, the cinematic intermission scenes that you get after you complete a couple of levels, which were an important part, again, also an important part of sort of the development of video games as like a storytelling medium, because they gave a little personality, and really, were one of the things that introduced the idea of the non-interactive cutscene into video games. And we call that out and we say, hey, this is the version you want to play if you want to see that version. Nice job on this level again, Jason. Although in this case, I'm a lot less impressed because I know that this is actually really good. So don't get too cocky. Yeah.
Fine. You know what? I'm done with it then. Goodbye, Pac-Man. All right. Let's go. Let's continue down. Let's keep going because I think the Pac-Man
try
stuff,
this version and we can see. Yeah, like you
this
will.
This is the 5200.
We'll see differences. Yeah.
Spot the difference.
Is there anything in the lore that goes into what the pellets taste like? You know, I mean, I know there was like the Pac-Man cereal back in the day, but
They taste like bananas, but the kind of bananas they had 100 years ago, which tasted better. No, I don't know.
oh, like pre genetically modified, like filled with seeds.
Exactly.
Okay.
No GMO bananas.
Nice.
Um,
So delicious is what you're trying.
So you can definitely see
Really,
now
really
with this
tasty.
version, like the ghosts are more aggressive.
Yeah, they're actually like kind of.
They're trying. They're applying themselves. Yeah.
Come on, get. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to. All right, let's see if I could hold up my reputation of. Oh, come on. Not exactly. I gotta get.
There was perfect.
You know what? You know what it is? I'm getting on the. I'm gonna get back to the D-pad here. Let's get.
Yeah.
I was
Well, that's smart. Yeah. And there's always this question of, well, I mean, you know, if these versions are so similar, why do you put in both? And it's like, well, because everybody had their own different experience, their own nostalgia. Yeah. Every version of these games is the version that somebody put 1,000 hours into. And maybe that's the computer version because all they had was a computer, or maybe it's 5,200 version, maybe it's the 2,600 game. Who knows? You know, it's the same thing with, you know, with Mortal Kombat. It's like, you know, there were kids who only had a Game Boy. There were kids who only had the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat, and for them, like that's the past that they would like to travel back to, and so you know we want to make sure we include them if possible. See, yeah, there you go.
The best is like looking back on those games, like the one you had pre-internet, right? Yeah. And finding out that game you loved is bad. Right? Like that's always the kicker for these old games. It's like, well, like there's some games I had. I'm like, man, that game was so hard. It's like, well, yeah, it was hard because it was literally impossible.
Right.
Because it was bad.
There's also this, like, I mean, these things take root in, you know, especially today with, you know, influencers and TikTok, and the discussion of old games gets sort of distilled down to these like tropes that sort of get repeated over and over and over again. And yeah, it's like, wait, this game, well, there's a lot of people who never played this, and if you set it up with, well, this game was really bad, they're going to think that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, like, at the time, it's like, wait, I played that game, was I not supposed to have been enjoying myself?
Yeah.
Was I supposed to have been having a bad time? So there's our little cinema scene.
Love it.
Big, you know, and again, it seems very simple now, but, you know, big moment in the development of video games to have those little like animated scenes, because then everything sort of flowed from that. It's great. These are very influential games. These are very, very important video games that were all very, very popular. So,
can you, if I may, you know, derail a little bit again?
There's
the trailer for Dig Dug that played in theaters in here. I think it's a little bit back on the timeline.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Dig Dug goes
there.
Here we go.
Are we gonna get sound?
It's pretty long.
Yes.
So
yeah. Sound will be on the YouTube version. It'll kind of come through. But
I just want to show it at the very least a little, you know, because it's
but I do keep the because this is audio as well. I don't want to just let the unless you're saying like if it's worth hearing it. Like is the audio good?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you kind of have to.
Okay, then I'll put a timestamp here, and I'll put in the audio from the video here. So
okay,
I'll let that play for a little bit while I.
You can jump ahead a little bit because
it's surprisingly long.
Yeah. I would say jump ahead.
Oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
No. I'm not going to put the. You know what? No, because you're going to miss the effect. Here's what you got to do. You got to. Even if you don't buy the DLC, which you should, but if you don't, look it up on YouTube and get the full experience. Because I think even with this little bit of interruption or jumping around, I don't even know what I'm watching right now, but I'm going to watch this undisturbed.
It's
after we're done with it.
Yes.
This is crazy.
And again, you know, this you know, the fact that
we
had this. Oh, it's a music video. They wrote. There's a whole Dig Dug song, which is quite good.
Which is not out of character for Namco, because they did the same thing for Pole Position, which is my favorite commercial of all time.
Yep.
Where they murder a family.
This is Atari.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
This is a movie trailer. And so again, we're so grateful for the fan community and preservers who go and see, from the folks who brought you Asteroid, Centipede, and Tempest. Atari presents Dig Dug, and then the little tiny characters like actually copyright Namco.
That's awesome.
But
Love that.
it's amazing. And again, like somebody found a film reel of this and did this incredibly professional, high quality transfer of it. And so it's wonderful that to be able to show some of these things, because it's really just an important part of the game. ROM is where a lot of collections stop. Like it's like here's the
Yes.
ROM, but
Yep.
there's so much around that to really just sort of to explain what the experience was and what it was like back in the day. And so anything we can show in that regard is always really important.
Yeah, someone likened it to a coffee table book.
Yeah.
I saw that in one of the comments talking about under the announcement DLC. I said, yeah, it's like an ever-growing coffee table book of the history of Atari, the Atari
Right.
generation of games. It's awesome.
Yeah. And of course, and a lot of this, shout out to our creative director at Atari, Tim Lapatino, who actually does write coffee table books about these very same things, and in fact had done a lot of the initial research, to get a lot of the artwork, from a lot of this stuff in his books, such as The Art of Atari. Now you're playing 7000 Galaga, so this is the only playable version of Galaga that we have in this one. Again, I guess by this time, essentially, they would be creating the 7800 version and didn't go back to create versions for other platforms.
Yeah,
but another wonderful game.
Yeah, there. If you want to know more about Tim, I did it was actually almost exactly a year ago. I did an interview with him for the podcast, and that was actually like the first time. So it was really cool talking to him to kind of dive into his history, like completely unknown. So it was really cool. And I highly recommend that one if you're interested in the person behind the Art of Atari, available in stores now. So, cool. Well, I'm going to stop because I'm going to stop playing. Otherwise, I'm just going to play forever. Is there anything else that people should know about the games or the new DLC before I subject you guys to play a silly trivia game?
We've covered most of it.
Awesome.
I think so. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, then with that, I will pause my little my actual capture recording here, and yeah, we are gonna play a little bit of a game here. People love them, maybe. I think they do. Why not?
I like them. I like games.
They're silly, no? Great, you like games. Perfect.
Yeah.
So let me do this now, fellas. We are playing a game that I don't have a title for, and we play it a lot, but everybody loves it.
Are you soliciting feedback from the community for potential titles, or is this just
Yeah. If anybody has titles for any of these games that I do, please submit your ideas. But basically, the premise of this game is pretty straightforward. Okay, if you're familiar with Moby Games, which you should be because it's part of the family, Moby Games has a score associated with all the games on their website. Okay, and if you're wondering, hey, what's the Moby score? Well, I explain it every time I do this game. The Moby score is the Bayesian average of critic and player ratings. You can use the Moby score to get an idea of how others feel about the game. Pretty straightforward, right? Are you guys familiar with the Bayesian with the Bayesian inference? Do you know what that means?
That sounds like a band.
Heard it. Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool band. But if you want to be more up to stuff, this might help you in the game. The Bayesian inference is a method of statistical inference in which Bayes' theorem is used to calculate a probability of a hypothesis given prior evidence and update it as more information becomes available. So cool. Okay. Now we all know what the Bayesian inference is.
Of course.
And we know, therefore, what the Moby score is. So I have grabbed a list of games on Moby Games that hit a specific criteria. I entered a word and I pulled the top. Well, actually, here I have like the top 20 something here, but for the purposes of us, you're only going to get credit if you give me something in the top 20. Okay. And that is sorted based on Moby Games. Actually, I lied. It's not the top 20. It's the top 18. There's a reason for that. I put in a word, found the games, sorted them 1 through 18, and you will get points associated with it in descending in like inverse placement. So 1, you get 18 points. 2, you get 17 points. And if you get the 18th one, you will get 1 point. Okay. In a bit of a twist that I sometimes like to do, if you correctly guess the Moby score, I will double the points
Oh,
that you earn. Okay.
okay.
So very exciting. People love it. In honor of Pac-Man, the word that I put into Moby Games is man.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll go 3 rounds. All right. And oh yeah, right. I was going to do that to decide who goes first. Let me find this thing. I didn't
So
sleep
what is
much
this?
last
I'm
night.
confused. You put in the word man into Moby Games, and it
Yes.
spits out a list ranked by the highest scoring games with
Yes.
the word man.
I've sorted
maybe the word man
by
is their
score.
title. The highest scoring games that come up when you type in man.
That's right.
Is it correct to assume that the 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 word man by itself appears in these titles?
Yes. So I will give you guys a little bit of a hint on how this works so that you're
Yeah.
not feeling duped.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Because I want to make sure it's
Too
fair.
late.
All right. I run a tight ship here. Okay? The man has to be by its own. It can be on its own, separated by a hyphen. Okay? But I'm not doing any weirdness. So for example, if you type it in, like football manager shows up, there's none of that.
Okay.
No tomfoolery there. Okay.
No secret of mana.
No secret of mana, though that was in the list. I had to weed out a bunch of those games. All right. So it has to be where man is basically standalone. If it's next to any sort of punctuation, that works. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if if you guys are like on the brink and I'm like, no, not really, let me explain again, then I will allow for a mulligan. One mulligan.
So like Pac-Man would work because it's next to punctuation, but like
yeah,
Detroit Become Human would not
correct.
work because it's
Detroit Become Human would not be on this list. That is correct. Okay. I have. Let's see here. Okay. In order to determine who goes first, we're gonna play a really stupid game. Now, it's really fast though. I'm just gonna say the name of a game, and you have to say it back to me. The first person to say it back wins. Okay, but I'm gonna say it very slowly, so the first person to give me the full title gets to go first. Okay. This is also shamelessly stolen from Doug Loves Movies. He calls it Live, Die, Repeat. So if you have another title for this game, I'll take it. I think I'm going to do this moving forward to decide who goes first. Ready?
Yeah.
And you can just guess as many times as you want, but every time you guess, I'm going to start over from the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
Pac, Man, and the Ghostly Adventures 2.
Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures 2.
That's correct, Dan.
Oh,
you win that game. That means you get
gosh.
to go first.
Okay, great.
Man, I'm struggling. Okay.
Awesome. All right. So, Dan, first guess, round 1. Give me a highly rated Moby score game that has the word man in the title.
Be honest.
Also, I need full titles.
Okay. Oddly hard to think of them on the spot. I was gonna say the Dark Pictures Man of Medan, because it's the only one I can think of with man in the title at this moment.
Okay, that is not in the top 18. Okay. It's not even in the top 27. and this has Puzz 3D Victorian Mansion. That's so no. Swing and a miss, but good guess. Good guess. And look, it has man in the title. That does fit the criteria. So you get an A for effort, but unfortunately we are scoring with numbers. So letters are not valuable. Chris, your first guess.
Okay. Pac-Man.
Just straight up Pac-Man.
Just straight up, the title is Pac-Man. Yeah.
Pac-Man is not in the top 18.
Ooh, okay. Had to get it
All
out
right.
there.
So keep in mind, these are games with the word man in the title of all time.
Sure. Well, Pac-Man should have a high Moby score. At least
You're
the
right.
original
I don't, but if
arcade version.
But with the Bayesian average that may be taking into critical account, I don't know how many critical reviews are actually associated with
associated
Pac-Man.
with the
Now,
arcade version of Pac-Man.
if
Yeah,
we
okay,
if we want to go with, but oddly enough, if you go to Pac-Man in Moby Games, if we just say the original Pac-Man, which I guess is attributed, so there is one listing for Pac-Man that combines so many platforms, like all of the platforms, including arcade. So it rolls it all together and gives it a 7.2.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Pretty good
all
score.
right. 2 rounds to go. Neck and neck. Dant has an A, which, as we've determined, is not worth anything. So, Dant, your second guess.
Well, Chris kind of paved the way for me on this one, but I was going to say Miss Pac-Man.
All right. That is also not on.
Wow. I really would have thought. Probably not. Well, never mind. Okay.
I'm not going to guess Baby Pac-Man.
I was just about to joke and say Baby Pac-Man.
An excellent game, but
it's very good.
But
there's
I
an
will.
Near me that has it.
Pac-Man does fit the criteria, though. Okay.
Sure.
All right, Chris, your second guess.
Can't wait. Gosh, what games have man? I don't even know.
I know it's hard.
It's like, well, it's not Hitman because
when I tell you
Hitman, Manhunt.
When I tell you what makes up like 80% of this list, you're gonna be like, oh, of course. Also, I will give you a hint. There are Pac-Man games in this list.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if there weren't, I would not have done this.
Wouldn't have even done it. So, I mean, going, I guess, based off that. Okay. Pac-Man Championship Edition.
Pac-Man Championship Edition is number 15 on the list.
Nice.
So that
was it my
that
turn?
is worth, that is worth 4 points.
Okay, all right.
Now guess the Moby score.
Okay.
And you could turn that into 8 points.
Got it. What is the Moby score out of? Is it a percentage or is it like
it's out of 10, but on a 100 points.
1 decimal. So like 8.5 would be a
that would be a valid Moby score.
Okay. 8.5.
No, but 8, not too far off. 8.1.
Okay.
All right. So after 2 rounds, we're in the final round here. Chris has 4. He's in the lead. Dant. Great to have you. Your third and final guess.
Okay.
Before I make you guess,
torn because I have 2 things I want to guess here, and one I might be remembering the wrong name. But
maybe go with the one that you remember the right name of.
That seems like a good
That's safer.
Well, I was gonna say Pac-Man Versus. If I'm
great
thinking
game.
of
that was the GameCube one.
The GBA. Rather the multiplayer GBA.
I don't think it was very highly rated. I think it got a lot of. I
but
think
it
it got a lot of
should
crap at the time.
It should be. You know what? You are absolutely right. It should be.
Good.
That game is great. Playing with it is very cumbersome to get it properly played because to have all the people. No, actually, for that one you just needed one Game Boy and the adapter, and then the ghosts were on the TV, right? Anyway, that game's awesome. It's not on the list.
Had to shoot my shot.
Chris, you win by default now, but go ahead, give us another guess too.
I'm trying to figure out because you're saying like 80% of the games on this list fall into some kind of category.
80% of the games on this list fall into into 2 franchises.
Pokemon. Fall into 2 franchises. What game says man in it? Because again, it's not Hitman and it's not Manhunt, and it's like because they're all because it's all jammed together into that one word. And it's
that's right.
It's not. I really can't think of anything. Meo the Smiling Man.
Oh, that's an
Ooh.
awesome pull. I love it.
I still need to play that, actually. I'm
I
excited for that.
love how obscure. I think I'm done with visual novels for the next like 3 years following the 60 hours I put into 100-Line Defense Academy, which is great, but it just kept going. Okay, now that's not on the top 18.
No.
I don't know where that is, but it was a great guess. It was a great pull. This game should be called Over Engineering. That's going to be the new title of this game. Let's go from the bottom, number 18, with Pac-Man 256. Okay, that has an 8.
Okay.
Also with an 8 at 17. This is, get ready for the head slap. Brace for impact. Mega Man 11.
See, sure. I had Bomberman stuck in my head, but I was like, "There's no hyphen in that." That's
exactly.
One word, so
I did remove a Bomberman game from this list because it was not a standalone.
Sure.
Mega Man, yeah, you're right.
Man.
That's in hindsight.
That also has an 8. So then moving up the list pretty quickly here: Mega Man 0 / ZX Legacy Collection, then Pac-Man Championship Edition, then Mega Man X2, Mega Man X. You want to be offended? What do you think the Moby score of Mega Man X is? Arguably one of the best games of all time.
I'm not going to be offended, but 7.
Oh, are you a Mega Man hater? You a Mega Man X hater? You a classic Mega Man guy?
I'm just not going to be offended. Why would I be offended?
Fair enough. 8.1. 8.1.
Okay.
That has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, yeah.
It's not bad, but
yeah.
Mega
if that's
Man
bothering you, get outside and cut grass right now.
And coming from the guy who was just coming from everything that just happened over the last hour. But you know what? Fair enough. I'll accept it.
Do I look bothered by any of this? Sorry.
No, of course not. Next up, moving up the list, Mega Man 9. Going up after that, we're going to break things up. We're at 11 now. Explosion Man.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Now, probably one of my favorite games that made this list at number 10, Gitaru Man.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
yeah.
Incredible game. Yep.
Yeah. Love Gitaru Man. That's especially someone like me. I mean, Chris, I told you, but one of my favorite things about California Extreme is all the Japanese rhythm games that you can free play. And so I am very much all about some rhythm games, Japanese rhythm games, bring them on. Number 9, Resistance Fall of Man.
Ooh,
okay.
Yep.
All right. Here's
number 8, Ninja Bread Man.
Here's the next. Here's the next potential head slap moment.
Okay.
Marvel Spider Man.
Oh,
yeah.
Miles Morales. That's number 8. Then Mega Man 3, Mega Man 2. Chris, if you kept going, you would have had something even higher. Because at number 5, Pac-Man Championship Edition DX. Has its own entry here with an 8.4. Then moving up the list, we have Spider-Man this list should be null and void. I forgot to scrub this one. So one did get by me here. Sorry about that. Spider-Man Total Mayhem is at number 4 with an 8.5, which is kind of wild, actually. I don't know how that got so high. Maybe it's great. Then Maniac Mansion, because I forgot to get rid of it. So this whole game is null and void now.
Yes. Oh, good. The whole thing? Okay.
Maniac Mansion, and then Marvel Spider-Man 2, and then Marvel Spider-Man 8.7, 8.8 respectively. So there you go. Chris, you won, but because I messed up, this victory is hollow because I screwed up.
Wow.
So we got Mega Man and Spider-Man.
So there are no winners, but I have officially lost my credibility as a
look. At least you know we're not cheating. All right.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
We're just trying to recall things using our brains.
It's true.
Jason, as a moment of redemption, do you think you could guess the Moby score for Ninja Bread Man?
Ninja Bread Man. I'm going to say 7.3.
4.6.
Under half that. Yeah, 3.4.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Okay, I don't know what Ninja Bread Man is,
It's
and
I think it came to a few platforms, but
I thought maybe it's like one of those cult classics that ends up in the 7s. So that's where I was going. But you're saying it's just trash. Okay, got it.
No.
Yeah.
It's not a classic, and there's not even a cult around it.
There's definitely not. And if you meet one, run, because
the most sad kind of classic.
Yes.
The ones without a cult following.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Or they all. Never mind. Let me stop that joke in its tracks. All right,
Yeah.
fellas. Thank you so much for joining me. Great work on the
Thank you.
Namco DLC, the Namco Legendary Pack DLC. Another banger for Atari 50, the game that just continues to keep on giving. Close it out. Chris, you won. Where can people find you if you want them to find you?
I do not wish for people.
Fair enough.
I'm on, the all new updates from myself are on Blue Sky Kohler.bisky.social. Is
all right, sweet.
Yep.
Well, there you go. I like that. I'll get that link. That'll be down below. Check him out. Send him some love, and find him next year and buy his wares at California Extreme. He'll probably be on between now and then. We're gonna get that collector's episode going. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And Dant's gonna be on that too. Dant's just gonna be sitting there eating popcorn
Just
the whole
be
time.
hanging out and nodding my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I'll just be playing Virtual Boy, saying nothing.
Perfect.
The whole
favorite Virtual Boy game? What do you think?
I mean, Wario Land's pretty amazing. Jack Bros is good. I don't own a copy of that because it's like $1,000 just for the cart. But yeah, I gotta go Wario Land. Mario Tennis is pretty good.
All right, Virtual Boy, Wario Land, Moby score. What do you think?
Oh man,
Knowing everything you know with what we just did rating wise.
7.0.
8.1. People love it.
Good. It's a great game.
Is that right?
Excellent.
That's where you put it?
Yeah.
You'd say it's as good as Mega Man X.
Well.
Think about who you're talking to here.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Where can people find you? Or do you not want to be found?
Yeah, I'm kind of between social media. I mean, yeah, I've not created a Blue Sky yet. Probably will at some point, but yeah.
Until then, you can find him on the streets.
That's right. Yeah.
He's the guy who looks like that.
That's right. I look like me.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at jaysofdoom. Whatever, because that's how Blue Sky works. It's nice over there. Come join us. Come hang out.
Yeah, I should. Yeah.
Say nice things. Oh, I'm talking to the people.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
I mean, you can too as well. You are part of everybody. It's an open invitation. They're
trying to be. Yeah.
No rules. And again, wishlist Atari 50, the Namco Legendary Pack DLC. It's coming soon.
It is.
And stay tuned because wow. I bounced around the recording. I could tell you Atari episode 62 is already recorded. You're not going to want to miss that one. We got a lot of really cool stuff coming out. We got a lot of great announcements coming out. So stay tuned. Follow Atari's channels as well. Follow the Digital Eclipse channels as well. I know I made a crack at Deep Dive, but that's just because they have a bigger following than us. So subscribe to them, show them some love, support the entire Atari family. And I'm going to stop rambling there. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. And thank you again, Chris and Dant, for joining.
Of course.